right, the doors are open. We'll just wait for people to start joining. So if you're joining us now, you can drop in the chat where you're joining us from. Welcome, Andrew and Cindy here. Dana, Denise. So if you want to just drop in the chat where everybody's joining. Brianne, Brittany. Oh, that's a unique way to spell Brittany. I'm sure that you've had lots of issues growing up, Brittany. Where are you from? You can drop that in the chat. We have another Jen joining. That's very exciting. And Jim, a couple of Johns. Oh, lots of Johns joining. Lisa, Lyndall, Megan. Andrew is joining from Washington. Denise is joining from Monticello. I don't know where that is. It sounds very exotic. Olivia from DC. Oh, so 2 people from DC. That's exciting. Maybe you guys are friends. Taylor from Ohio. Jennifer from Kansas. Very cool.
Well, and I see our Jennifer from Kansas in here. She's going to recognize one of our slides. So
Oh, fun. Trail is joining from Montana.
Amazing work down in her district. So
nice. Good.
And all of the Chiefs fans. We were laughing yesterday. We were working on a blog for our marketing and talking about Pantone colors are only one off between the Chiefs and the 49ers. So those of you that are color experts, Chelsea, do you remember what the numbers were? Was it 146 and 147, I think?
Yeah.
Ooh, so that's close.
Red weekend.
All right, we have Joaquin from Oregon. All right. Janet and Chelsea will just give everybody 1 more minute to join. So if you're just joining us, you can drop in the chat where you're joining from. Brittany says that she's from Florida, and yes, she has many issues with spelling. Yeah. Lorna from Washington State. Nice. Yeah, we have a couple of football fans joining. Very fun. If you're a football fan, I'm not big on sports. Go sports.
Just wear red this weekend, you'll be safe.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good.
Some version of red.
All right. Make a note of that. All right. And we have Marilyn from Michigan. All right. Janet, Chelsea, I'm going to turn it over to you to get started.
Well, great. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jennifer and Rise Vision, for supporting us today and making this conversation available. And we do want it to be a conversation about making an emotional connection with your enrollment marketing plan. And I've recognized some of those names in the participant list already, and you already have great expertise. So I hope you will chime in and give additional examples as well. So my name is Janet Swichakowski. It's easier to say than it looks. And I am Vice President at CEL Marketing PR Design. And we help school districts fill the gaps in their communication strategies. So many times districts have more ideas and more plans than there are hours in the day to implement them. And sometimes they just need a thought partner or strategic advice. So at CEL, we bring in marketing, PR, school PR, and design and branding expertise to bring your ideas to life. So my experience has been more than 25 years in school communications, working in high-performing districts, innovative districts, and now supporting districts around the country. Chelsea.
And I'm Chelsea Jenke. I am our Vice President of Integrated Marketing. I'm a caffeine addict, extroverted introvert, and boy mom of 2. I've been at CEL for about 17 years, I believe now, so I've been around here quite a bit. But while I'm contributing to the population with my boys and the adrenaline junkies that they are, we are currently seeing a decline in birth rates, and they've dramatically decreased across the last 15 years. And so that decline doesn't stand to change anytime soon. There's lots of contributing factors, but that means that we have 1 million fewer students in the public school system across the US. We don't want to be Debbie Downers, so let's get on to things we can control and do. but we really want to talk about enrollment marketing because enrollment marketing plans, while they're super common for private schools, a lot of times public and charter schools and districts don't have one in place. They may have a marketing plan, but we want to specifically focus on some of the enrollment marketing plans that you can control. And so with the declining birth rates and choices for families, there's now a renewed sense of urgency for marketing our schools. So even though we have come to a time where we can find success in our enrollment marketing, that plan can not only attract, but we also need to focus on retaining students, families, and staff. Janet, do you want to talk about what we can do to attract and retain?
Well, sure. And I appreciate the fact that you are saying attract and retain. And Jennifer, can you just confirm for me that we are seeing the slide deck? Yes. Okay,
Yes,
great.
we are. Yeah.
Thank you. So as we look at attracting and retaining, our best marketers and our best spokesperson are the families and students in our districts today. So it is a question of how are we getting people in the door? How are we raising awareness about the fabulous services that our public schools are offering? And how do we retain those families, build relationships, and create brand advocates? And then we can't do that without a highly qualified staff. So I want to talk about one stat that is really getting under my skin these days. And that is multiple surveys tell us that teachers today are not recommending teaching as a profession. And that just blew me away because if they are not recommending it to their own students and their own kids, we have no pipeline for the future. So if as we talk about marketing to students today, I also want us to remember and think about that internal marketing, how we are boosting our staff up, how we are making them proud of the meaningful work that they do, and how we're sharing their stories of impacting generations. So as we're moving forward, let's think about all three of those pillars. There are so many choices that parents have, and there are so many clogged, crowded communications channels. We really need to look at ourselves and say, how do we stand out from the crowd? I regularly work with school districts and say, please, one of our key messages is please don't broad brush our school district with the reputation that you hear of public education across the country, because locally, parents and families love their schools. Nationally, we're not sure about it, but locally, parents and students love their schools, they love their teachers, and we need to focus on those local messages to stand out from the crowd. So one of the school districts that we had the joy of working with, Jennifer, I think is on the call, is Salina in Kansas. And we just coming out of the pandemic, and they knew they had lost some students to homeschool or other districts during that time, and they really wanted to attract them back. And the most powerful story that I heard from them is that part of their campaign was giving principals scripts to call families that they had in their schools and had lost and say, hey, we miss you. Do you want to come back? That personal outreach from the principals that knew the families to say, we miss you, we want to come back, had a tremendous impact. At the same time, they had a digital and print and in person and direct mail, this multi-channel campaign that supported new messaging in their district. And that was Greatness Grows Here, which really fit their community well. So as we're thinking about marketing strategies, part of marketing, and we'll talk about this later, is just that experience we have one-to-one. Where is the relationship we're developing with students? Enrollment and inviting people in to really ask us to take care of the thing they care about most, their most precious child. Too often schools look at that as a transaction. Go to our website, fill out the enrollment form, we'll get you into school. For parents, especially pre-K and kindergarten parents, it's a heart-wrenching decision. It's a really big decision. And largely because we've told them that the choice of schools that they make for their family is the most important decision they'll make for their child's future. Education is the most important thing they can do for their child's future. And so we need to look at it from a school perspective, not as a transaction, but an opportunity to build a relationship, to nurture confidence, and to let parents know that we care and love their kids as almost as much as they do. Chelsea, let's run a poll here. Or Jennifer, if you're going to put up that poll for us. We'd like to know how many of you in your districts, if you look at your enrollment process objectively, how many would call it a purely transactional process? Give me a yes, or if you're thinking about that enrollment process as nurturing a relationship, maybe having a couple communications before they actually start filling out the form, talking to them about their hopes and dreams and knowing that you are the organization in the district that can help them and help their child achieve those hopes and dreams. So go ahead and vote if you could for us. Give us a yes or a no if your current system is just a transaction. We need the paperwork. We need the birth certificate. Let's get it in. Let's get the records and move on. How are we doing on that? What percent, Jennifer, do we have completed that now?
All right, so 55% of people have completed it. So
Okay.
one more
We'll
people
give
if you
this
want to get
another
in.
sec.
Yeah.
And you'll
But
share the results, right?
Yeah, so the results so far, we have 63% saying yes, their enrollment process is purely transactional. Yeah.
Well, I do know Jennifer's on that call, and I hope she put down no, but we can close the poll now. And keep going. So as we think throughout this presentation, one of the things we're working with school districts on is how can we develop a lead nurturing process where you're really starting at the beginning of collecting a contact. Private schools are really good at this. Well, Chelsea will talk more about secret shopping later, but we do secret shopping with school districts. And when we call private schools, within the first 30 seconds, they are collecting an email address to respond to us and to keep us in their communication loop. When we call public schools, it's go to the website, fill out our forms. Chelsea?
Yeah. So when we think about those different touch points in order to make an action, it really takes 6 to 12 different times or different touch points before someone's willing to make an action. And so if you think about your digital marketing, your ads, your digital campaigns that you have out there, we need the repetition. And so people are inundated with so many messages at all points in time. When it comes to video, they need to see that ability to watch the video up to 5 times before they even start watching it. And so the old adage was you captured their attention in the first 3 seconds of a video. Now you just have to capture their attention before the video really even starts running. And so, like Janet said, we kind of want to let you in on a little secret. Secret shopping your schools. This is super common in other industries. I worked for Maurice's, which is a retail store in my past life. And this happened every quarter. We would have had secret shoppers come in and we would get the reports and see how we did. Why shouldn't this be a part of how we evaluate how our schools are doing? Because our center point of influence and our first contacts are our front desk. It's the people that we're calling. And so if we're thinking about this secret shopping, it's not just about that one-to-one interaction. It could be looking into your signage. It could be that customer service experience and even more. And you might be really surprised about the super good items that come out of it. But most people, when it comes to the little nuggets of improvement, are absolutely floored that even though they've done the work, sometimes it's not ending up in the hands of the people who are truly those first points of contact. And so there's tons of rooms for improvement. In one recent communications audit that we conducted with a school district, their director was absolutely disappointed because she is such an amazing director. She's done so much great work to put out materials that people can use. But what came back is that when we left that secret shop, we left with a Post-it note with a handwritten email on it. Nothing else about the schools, nothing else about who to contact or the person's name, just an email to send to potentially get further information. Now, one of the things that came out of that secret shopping experience is we can make all of the materials we want, but that internal communications with our key champions that are having those interactions are key to making sure that they're trained to be able to go out there and talk about it. So what Janet talked about, when we call private schools, they're really, really good at collecting our information. Within public schools, that can be a struggle because we end up with these siloed effects of different parts, different departments within our organization acting in a silo and not interacting with each other. And so we have to find a way to bridge those gaps and work together. We actually in 2023 conducted an experiment across one state. Out of 40 different districts that we called or reached out to as a potential family that was bringing a child there, only one actually responded to us with a live person. Some of them still to this day, we have not received a response from. Think about the loss of enrollment opportunity that happened because of that and the feeling that you're left with. People like to feel special. So we need to make sure that we're making each interaction one to remember. Work with your employees as ambassadors of the school or district. The most trusted people, especially in school districts, are those first line people, those front desk secretaries, admins. So I want to take a second and ask you to think about, how has this changed in our digital world? Some communities are incredibly personal driven. People walk into our buildings. Other communities, it's more of a digital interaction. So how are you ensuring that you're giving each person or each potential customer what they want when they need it? Are you doing that on your website? Are you doing that in your marketing? Are you doing that at your front desks?
Yeah, and Chelsea, I just want to build off of this for a minute, because sometimes we think we don't have time to do that. Sometimes we don't think we don't have staff to do that. But every lost child that we have that doesn't enroll is over $100,000 of revenue to the school district. I think we'll talk about this later too. But with that $100,000, you can certainly afford to buy a staff member that will ensure a good customer experience. You can certainly afford to staff that function and role.
One of our clients even has taken the marketing director and putting it over the top of the welcome center so that all of the communication is coming more centralized and is being part of the bigger group instead of leaving that siloed effect. So let's get into more strategic marketing strategies. There's a lot that schools can learn from other industries too, but we need to think about marketing to people. So the 4 principles of marketing are product, price, place, and promotion. So I want us to keep those in mind as we talk about school marketing. The first big item to evaluate when you're going to be doing your marketing is your branding. A brand can truly make or break whether it resonates with your communities, prospective and current families, and staff. And when people think about branding, sometimes they only think about the logo, but the branding is wrapped into everything that you do. This is one of my favorite slides that seems to never get old, but branding is beyond that logo. It's good branding is good storytelling is good marketing, and good marketing will positively impact the lives of your community. The number one thing that can make a brand successful in marketing is a focus on that primary customer promise. What is the promise that you're making to your constituents? It will help you stand above your competition and be able to communicate and fulfill that promise to you. So those promises come to your families, your staff, your community. And so we brought a couple of examples. This brand really utilized student voice during the branding process to bring together the communities around their tagline, be seen, be bold, be heard. And so this really embodied what it meant to be. This is a very large district. And they have a lot of different mini brands within their schools that wrapped up to a larger district brand. And so when we went through the branding process, we needed the kids to feel that they have a place within this larger district, because previously the district brand was out there, but it was off by itself and it didn't really embody. You really connected to only the schools, not the district as a whole. And they brought a lot of value to this organization. And so they actually went through a complete rebranding process. Not all districts need that. Some just need a brand enhancement or minor tweaks. Maybe they need some messaging work and other things like that. So messages can really help drive the brand, whether it's logo, elements, patterns, etc. And having that well-developed brand can make or break your marketing efforts. But you also need to think beyond what's immediately in front of you. Not everyone speaks English. Not everyone interacts with brands exactly like you do. Janet, you want to talk about Richfield?
Sure. And I'll also build off of South Washington County. That was a district in that brand, be seen, be heard, be bold, that they wanted that of staff. They wanted staff to be seen, be heard, and be bold. They wanted students to know that they would be seen, be heard, be bold. It was such an exciting project to work on. So yes, another one was Richfield. Richfield Public Schools is a suburb of Minneapolis. And they, by policy, I think they are at about 70% Hispanic heritage in their community. And by policy, everything gets translated. So when we were doing this brand messaging, we really listened to their community. It's a very tight-knit community, and they wanted to lead with real community. They wanted to lead with personalized education and personalized learning and have these rich opportunities, because even in the small district, they were able to offer an incredible amount with their students. And the other part was always innovating. So they're a very innovative and forward and recognized and awarded district. But we needed to look at how do those words translate into Spanish, and spent a lot of time with their native Spanish speakers to make sure that not only the words would translate, but the meaning and the inspiration behind the words would translate as well. So keep in mind that moving forward. Another one that we worked with is Private School Cotter. And Cotter began a new chapter in their community when they expanded their learning problems to be from 16 months old all the way up through high school and really unify their message. And they went through a whole new brand identity refresh, but putting in that consistent messaging throughout their, that they were about education for character. Was their key message there. Working with them, we expanded their color palette. We updated their logo a little bit, made it far less complex so it was easy to read and recognize with new typography and patterns and color palette. So really looking at how does your entire brand package support the messaging and the feeling and the emotional connection you want families to have with your schools. We're not going to talk much more about branding, but I do encourage you, we offer a brand checklist. If you think your brand needs some work or is out of date, download our brand checklist, and we'll keep going ahead to thinking about retention. Now that we've attracted people, we've got their attention, there's an awareness of what our district is, what our district stands for, what our brand promises are. How do we keep people, and how do we build brand ambassadors within that organization? So the first question I have is, do you know what your current data is? What is your current capture rate? Now, we look at capture rate as the percent of students that live in your community or your boundaries that are choosing to attend your schools. So if we could put up the next poll, Jennifer, we've got a poll here. We're curious about what your current capture rate is. So capture rate is children attending districts divided by the number of students that live in the area. Are you above 90%? Are you 75 to 89%, 50%, or below 50%? Or you really don't know, and that's a fair response. So in one of the districts that I worked in for a long time, when I originally got there, we were losing a lot of students to private schools. And there was a perception that private schools were more orderly. Private schools had more rigor. Private schools had more small class sizes. And we did some survey work got that information and went head to head on all of those messages. So when it came to academic achievement data, we showed people that our achievement data actually exceeded a number of our private schools in the area. We showed that we had small class sizes. We talked about safety and order, and that is a key message that people want to hear right now. There's so much negativity in the news. They just want to know that their kids are going to be safe and cared for at school. Point one. Next comes in academic rigor. Sometimes in some communities, it might even be third, but they want to know that there is that safety. What is your capture rate, Jennifer? How are we doing?
Yeah, all looking good. So 68% of people in this webinar said that they don't know. Oh, sorry, that's 70% say I don't know. The next one is at 90%, 10% of our audience is capturing 90%. And
Ooh,
then
the high flyers.
yeah, 15% of our audience, oh no, 14%, the numbers are changing. 14% are capturing 50 to 74%.
Okay. And that's a challenge, really challenging environment. I'm going to guess in those 50 to 74%, there's a lot of choice in their area. There might be a lot of charters. There might be a lot of private alternatives, or you might be seeing, as we are across the country, a huge spike in homeschooling growth. So those are challenges that you need to look at. If I'm only capturing 50 to 70%, I'm going to look at what do families in our community want that they don't believe we're able to give them or offer. And this goes back to Chelsea's basic definition of marketing, and that is the first P in marketing is product. What is the service that they want that we are not offering? And then we're talking internally about how do we enhance that product offering so we are meeting the needs and expectations of our community. So I talked a little bit about this before. If you've got leadership that aren't really focused on the number of students and where the mathematical equation is, this is a pretty simple math equation. Take the number of students that you have, and all of your budget in schools, a large percentage of it is driven by the number of students you have. So if you take your average cost or average per spending per pupil, and you multiply that by 13 over the life of that child. If you get them in kindergarten and can keep them till 12th grade, that is over $130,000 over the life of that child per student for your school district. So every student that we are allowing or being okay with them selecting another option decreases the opportunities that we're able to provide to other students. Because if we are not working on retaining and growing our enrollment, declining budgets, declining revenue hurts more faster our budget than the loss of students. It is not proportional. Students don't leave in groups of 30 at a time, so we can eliminate the teacher that supports them. Students trickle out the door, and then we are stuck with budget shortfalls. So think about this as an equation, and then think about where can we improve our product offerings first. Don't try to market if you don't offer a good education that will support children well. Then you look at how are we positioning ourselves? How are we connecting? It's stage 3 or 4 where we're actually talking about promotion. We've got to have the product first. So what is the value of that first interaction that Chelsea talked about? We need to remember that it's 7 times cheaper to keep an existing family than it is to win a new one. And this is across many industries, including education. We can spend a whole lot of money if we're trying all the time to bring in new families. So we really want to look at how are we providing and focus on kindergarten first, because if you can get them at kindergarten and keep them all the way through your system, and keep them happy, keep them engaged, be that partner, be engaged with the family so that we can, again, provide a great experience. Engaged families have better student achievement, they're better learning outcomes, and they're happier and better brand ambassadors for us. Chelsea.
So what do parents really want? In short, for any of you who know Discovery Insights, they are red, red, red. So be brief, be bold, be gone. We want to find things when we want to find them in the place we want to find them. And so any Taylor Swift lovers, red, 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 any type of red that you want right now. So let's find out more about what I need quickly, especially in email marketing. We were talking with one of our districts, and it's actually on the school, about paring down the emails that they're sending out, because they were putting all of the details in the email. And so people were having to scroll through to find things, and they really weren't reading them. And we said, you can get the exact same value. You can actually add more to an email if we do little itty bitty teasers that give the only quick bits of information that you need and link to the website for the full information. And now you're creating efficiency in what you're doing too, because you're updating the website first, which is your center hub of content and where everyone goes to get that information. And you're sending out your email reusing that content. So you're not having to do things twice. You're doing it in sequence. And so when parents want to find emails, they're going to do a quick search on their phone. Those keywords will pop up, give them the info, and they're willing to click and read more, but they're not willing to read through every single little detail to get there. So brevity is definitely multimedia, pictures, videos really capture attention. And even with real estate, it's the same with parents, location, location, location. It's where you put things in the time that you put them. And so if you think about social media, a lot of people think I need to be everywhere, but if you do kind of a testing and see truly where your families are, or do surveying to ask them where they are, those are the places that you need to be and where you need to prioritize. Some of our districts will do more of like a storytelling feel good out on Instagram, but the details are out on Facebook, or the quick updates are out on Twitter for events going on. But they don't put everything everywhere, because there are certain touch points that add value for certain families in their community, depending on what social media they're on. And the other thing is pride. When you come and you get information, whether it's email, social, website, whatever, you want to have pride in what you're looking at. So getting past that brick and mortar, show the faces, get people excited. Janet, how do we get to the point of knowing where our families actually are?
Yeah, it's really, if we've got to look at our data first. So you've got your data on social media, you've got your data on your Google Analytics. You should have data on any newsletter communication that's going out. All of those analytics are available. And when I remind principals that, hey, 70% of your emails to families are being read on a mobile phone. They're on mobile devices. So if you give them a full page PDF with size 14 font, they can't read it. So please, let's make sure that information is readable and consumable and easy. I used to think, I've always thought in my career, about the 3-second, the 30-second, and the 30-minute reader. The 30-minute reader wants the long version. There aren't very many of those left anymore. We don't have time for that. We've got to be able to tell essential information in a headline and then a blurb, and then let them go to the website if they're really interested in learning more. But really, if we think about relationships, we spend a lot of time at the district level putting out marketing. But if we think about the relationships are the most important, are closest to the student. So that is the teacher relationship with the family. Do you have a tool that makes it easy for teachers to communicate with families? There are many tools out there. And do teachers know how to use it? Because when parents get photos of their kids or their kids' schoolwork during the day through those tools, they are excited and proud, and you've made that emotional connection. The worst relationships we have with schools are when the first contact parents get from the school is negative about their kids' behavior. We have to have a relationship before we can say, hey, can we talk about your child's behavior? So we've got to have that positivity first and those positive points of contact. The next one is the school to the family. So this is principal communication to the family. Much more important, and we've got to look and make sure that we're providing support so that our principals can do that in a quick and easy way. And it's not another administrative burden, but it is essential because that is where the relationship is. The next one is the school to the teacher across all industries, across all businesses, across schools as well. Employees listen to their supervisor or their boss first before they listen to the rest of the corporate speak or the communications team. So are we providing our principals and our leaders the information that we want to prioritize to our staff? And then finally, we get down to the school district, to the entire school community. We should be setting the vision and the direction and telling the great stories and celebrating on the system and governance issues, but we can't rely on that for our primary communication. It's got to be closer to the students. In order to be brand ambassadors, our internal teams need to have the information that's important, and we can't overload them. So think about that internal marketing. Think about where we can put information and celebrations in front of our staff so that they can repeat those messages and repeat and repeat and repeat. People need to hear things many times, some say 16, before it starts sinking in. And staff will need to hear it more than that before they start repeating it for us. So that repetition is critically important. Chelsea, let's talk now about that digital reputation. So we've kind of looked at the in-person, the relationship stuff, but so many of our transactions happen on the web and the internet and Google before parents ever come into our schools.
Yes. Now more than ever, our digital presence is our main center of influence and that hub of information, just like we think about with email and social driving in. And people are talking about us online. On average, the average time spent on smartphones has come to 25%. And so that's like 7 hours that people are using their mobile devices. And so like Janet talked about the stat of 70% of people come to your information on their mobile device. We've moved beyond that to multi-device users. So a lot of times I will have my cell phone out and be reading either instructions or the email or what I'm supposed to do. And I'm actually physically doing it on my computer, or I'm setting my phone to the side to get back to work and then I'm coming back to it, but then I'm popping it up on a tablet or my computer or my desktop. And so when you think about that, we need to move beyond just mobile first, responsive, to think about that multi-device user. And so most parents and guardians are born in the technology revolution. We grew up with acquiring technology either in the palms of our hands or don't know a world without it. That means the choices are endless. And as very savvy researchers, school choice decisions really start online, whether it's word of mouth or it's looking up reviews. So have you ever Googled yourself or searched on any other search engine for your school, your district, or whatever you're really focused on marketing? Ask a family member out of state to do it. See what people outside of that main center are coming. Get off campus, make sure you're off campus devices because there is caching and IPs and things like that that impact your search results. But truly think about and look at and go out and find yourself. See what your reviews are. Great Schools, Niche, School Digger. There's a bunch of other review sites. Search on different browsers and different search engines and you'll get results and a lot of times photos in those different locations. Are those photos representing you in a way you want to and in a light that helps your enrollment marketing? Think about what comes up. The biggest challenge so far and for quite a while is that people are asking questions and getting answers to those questions. But we haven't moved, especially in schools, to writing content that way. And so when you think about putting up content about back to school time, you should be writing in a way that answers the common questions that people are searching. When is the first day of school? Answer the question, give them the rest of the calendar for the school year. What is the supply list for back to school? Give them the supply list and give them the calendar. It's that answer the question and you didn't ask for this, but we know you're going to want it. And so thinking about that, and you can do a search online and you'll get like 4 to 6 little examples underneath. What pages are showing up there? What are those little teasers that are bringing you in? And are you writing content that helps get to the top viewed items and using those analytics to get you there as well?
Chelsea,
Those
I want to give you
Yep.
kudos here real quick, because when I first started with CEL, I told Chelsea the only thing my name comes up for on Google is school board minutes, and they're all very boring. You know, it was like 5 pages of school board minutes that would come up when you Googled me. And Chelsea said, "Oh, I cleaned that all up years ago when you started." And Googled, I'm like, "Oh, I'm showing up now on top of page." So it's a really intentional effort about how you are showing up. Are you, we had one school district that their school lunch food showed up in their Google listing, in their Google My Business listing. And it wasn't very attractive, I might add. So we really worked with them to say, what photos of kids are you putting up? What photos of learning are you putting up? When you show up, is it how you want to be shown?
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, because it just made me think about something. I got a phone call 2 days ago from a person that we work with on a completely unrelated project. And she's like, "Hey, I got to ask someone, because I'm getting this board member that's calling me that really cannot stand that we had an unfortunate incident that happened last year. The person has since left. Everything has been taken care of. Legally, it's been resolved. But when you search for our school board or our superintendent, this page comes up from that press release, from all the media. I've tried everything that I know and I need it to go away." And so you can do things like resubmitting like Google Search Console and other search engines to have it rescan your site. The other thing that we ended up doing with hers is we actually changed the URL of her superintendent's page. Yes, we redirected the old URL, but we did that and then resubmitted to the search engines, because it made it take another look and get rid of that person's name that was kind of baked into the results. And everyone had kept going. Plus, the school board kept clicking on these old articles that were out there, and we're like, "Please stop doing that. You're driving more search from this incident." And so there are creative ways you can clean up some of that SEO as well to get you beyond that.
Let's
But I
pull
do
us out of the weeds here and keep going, Chelsea. We got to talk fast.
So as we are thinking about showing up and what you're landing on, not just what search results are there, but what people are truly seeing, we need to get beyond those brick and mortar photos and truly put kids in the forefront and really showcase their faces. Because as you're thinking about doing what's called A/B testing, trying different types of ads, even in your digital advertising, are you more likely to click on an ad to find out about launching your future here if it's the front of a building, or if it's this really cute girl that's super excited about her learning and she's using a tablet and pens and excitement there as well?
So another thing that I wanted to chime in here, in addition to how we're showing up, it is about thinking about events as well. And we'll keep flying into our events and partnerships. I had one elementary principal that came to me probably 20 years ago now. He said, "I think our school will be the first one closed if we continue to decline in enrollment. What can I do? I want to keep our school open." They were at about 400 students at the time. And I said, the private school in the area is your biggest competition. And they're holding open houses every Sunday afternoon when parents are free and can come visit and talk to their staff. I said, "How do you feel about working on a Sunday?" A couple weeks later, he had his entire staff there on a Sunday. They were all there, excited about meeting families, showing off their classrooms. They were so pumped. Today, they have over 800 students in that school, and they are going strong. They just did something different to make that personal connection. So while we talk about digital, I'm going to bring us back to that face-to-face relationship building interactions. We have schools that do ice cream socials. We have other schools that are just really looking at the importance of that customer experience. How can we make people as excited about schools as Disney makes people about a mouse, Chelsea?
This is one of my favorite topics because I absolutely love the customer experience and the psychology of how we make people feel. I'm going to leave you pretty quickly with this book, but if you've never read Be Our Guest, Perfecting the Art of Customer Service, is by Disney, and they do a really good job bringing hospitality and that customer service mentality. And we have a lot of different districts and schools that have used this as part of their customer service training. So the old truth used to be you are competing with your competitors, but the new truth is you are competing with the last best or worst experience that your customer had. And so how are you doing your social listening? Are you in community groups? Are you using a service, parent groups, champions in your community to do that? Environmental scanning is necessary. If your teachers don't feel cared for and they're complaining in the grocery store, if a bus driver misses a stop, they're quick to share that negativeness, and then it will perpetuate some of that. So we need to make sure that we're listening to people and continuing to build up that trust, and it all starts with great customer service.
Yeah, and we're going to skip through. You'll be able to download the slides. Let's keep going on the customer service slide and just think about how you want to be perceived. How would your customers describe their first interaction in your district right now? We've got lots of words up there: responsive and friendly, or tired, too busy, standoffish. How are we nurturing those relationships? When they walk into the building, what do they see? Do they see messy papers all over? Do they see the lost and found pile? Or do they see celebrations of your staff? I love this Rise Vision that celebrates all of the staff on screens. And we've got lots of leaders that are talking to us about how can we use digital screens so that we can change the information and we're not changing bulletin boards every week. Jennifer, do you want to talk a little bit about your story?
Yeah, so these two images are from Cornwall Lebanon School. And one thing that they do is something called the Wings of Praise program. So this is a really wonderful program where they highlight and celebrate students and staff who are, caught doing something great in their school. So every week they update their Wings of Praise winners. They have a beautiful mural in their school, and that student gets their photo taken in front of it. I think they get like a little maybe like a gift card for the local establishment for a coffee or for a donut or something like that, some little treat. But they also do that with their staff. So teachers are recognized for Wings of Praise for going above and beyond, for, being extra caring, any kind of positive behavior. They're getting that shout out. So it's just a wonderful thing to be showcasing and have up on your digital signage or on your social media, so that one of the first things that visitors see when they come to your school is a celebration.
And our staff are so hungry for recognition and appreciation, especially after the past few years. Everybody's feeling a bit beat up. So if part of your internal marketing plan is not celebrating your staff and doing staff recognition as much as you can, nominating teams for other awards outside of your district, and that should be a key component of your marketing plan, because when a national association or state association says you've got great principals or you've got great teachers, that goes a long way, and you can celebrate our staff. It's really about our people. Our people need to know we care about them. Our parents need to know we care about them. Chelsea, as we wrap up, let's ask people if they have questions or comments that they would build on. Jennifer, I hope you'll add to the chat some of the success you've had. Go ahead and I'm talking about Jennifer in Kansas. Sorry, Jennifer. Jennifer in Kansas, talk about your success. Let's wrap up some of the final examples that we've got.
Yeah, and to our little kiddos that are starting their journey of life in their schools and our activities. And so schools really are that center, and we want to make sure that we're embodying and showcasing those. So shout out to Christy McGee in the Fountain Fort Carson School District 8 in Colorado. If you want to see Pride, check them out as a military affiliate school district. We worked with them on a community engagement and staff recruitment campaigns. So from a community K-12 run to promoting healthy lifestyles in the community and to enacting today's mission, love your jobs, they truly get what it means to live their mission, vision, and values. So you can take a look at their work. I want to bring us back to Cotter and their rebranding. The campus really needed a facelift with wayfinding. We wanted to be able to have strategic messages that students and potential prospective families can connect to, challenging you to be the difference. And it really brought a fresh vibrancy to the campus that we can swap out, because visuals truly grab that attention. So as we end, thinking about a campaign that will make you stand out, whether it's like Fountain Fort Carson or Cotter's messaging, every organization is unique, and you have to be measuring and monitoring what is working for you. So take a moment of self-reflection. What's one thing you can take from this that stands you out from your competition? Share it in the chat. And as you do that, we're going to challenge you to capture the hopes and dreams of your audiences. So we're going to ask you to follow Robbinsdale Virtual Academy and be the author, inventor, designer, and creator of your enrollment marketing. Now's the time to make sure that you're connecting on that emotional level. Let's get to my favorite part, the questions. Everyone always has them. And I think following this also, we will be out on LinkedIn to answer anything that we don't get to as well. So take a minute to drop your questions in, stay connected with us. I put our contact information up here. I'm going to read through a few questions and then we will go from there.
So Jennifer is commenting on the branding refresh that they did in her district in Kansas. And they also run a family rep programs that the principals have started with current families in the schools connecting with families. That is a great peer-to-peer marketing initiative. Fabulous. John wants us to stop talking about Cotter. We've heard that before. Sorry, John. Any other questions or thoughts that you're coming up with?
There was one that came in, Janet, about how do you justify the budget for this enrollment marketing work?
Yeah. The challenge education has is getting everybody talking on the same page, right? And so when we can take time to solidify our messaging and get a clear message about how we want to be perceived out in the public, when we can get that on all of our screens in the buildings, when we can get it on our digital screens and use this omni-channel campaign so that everybody is on the same wavelength, you're doing two things. One, you're supporting your marketing initiatives, but all of those marketing initiatives should also be aligned with, and we didn't talk about this, but aligned with and supporting your academic goals. In South Washington County, they wanted their students to be seen, be bold, and be heard. That really was part of their plan to elevate and involve student voice and have students own their own learning. So when those all work together, and we know there's decades of research that say when parents and schools work as partners, students do better. Student achievement goes up. So those all support the messages that we want to provide our staff. We want to inspire our staff. We want to retain our staff. We want them to feel good about their meaningful work. So all of that, it is more than just bringing students in the door. It is about building a positive culture that supports students' achievement.
Mm-hmm. Shiva had a great question in here. How do you handle clients that want to jump straight to the promotion step of a program without a thorough evaluation of that program or product that's to be marketed?
Yeah, that's a nuance. We do that. So we've taken on recently a small charter school, and the first thing they needed was materials to go to the school fair. And we had a very short amount of time to develop those materials, and we had not yet done the research. Because at CEL particularly, 70% of our clients are schools. So we know the K-12 market. We know urban, we know rural, we know suburban, we know exurban. And so we can go in, do a couple focus groups quickly with staff and families and get nuggets to start on that messaging. And messaging comes first. You cannot have deliverables without messaging. And then look at the brand. And sometimes if you're going to do a rebrand or a brand refresh, that takes a lot more time. So we'll start with something quick. And then like Celina's example, Jennifer will tell you, was the enrollment marketing campaign actually became the brand refresh and really fed other areas of the district because they couldn't rebrand completely. Once you get some fresh thinking and fresh materials, we'll respond quickly. we can do some urgent work, but then we ask questions, do some of our own research, and dig a little deeper so that we can follow that 4-step process: research, implementation, planning, implementation, and evaluation. Great question.
Janet, great question came in on the Q&A from Becky. So how can we convince admin that this is still important for a special education center where students are referred so they don't advertise enrollment? They rely
Yes.
on referrals.
This is a great example. I'm working with a district right now where referral to their special ed provider is not positively received. It's almost like the district is not a partner, but the parent feels like we're pushing them out. For a special education center, your primary customer is going to be the districts that refer. And so we need to make sure that they know and can tell your story, that customer experience, because that's a really challenging relationship to build, that customer experience is all centered around working in the best interest of the child, that we wanted to give this child every chance they have to succeed. We have specialists here that can give that child more time and attention and meet their needs better than a regular classroom teacher. So we talk about our special services. That would be a unique branding campaign or marketing campaign, but we would develop it with the parent in mind when our district partners are the spokespersons for us. Our district partners are the ones that need the information to be able to do the storytelling, to build that relationship and build confidence among the parents. So that we have worked on those projects before. We work with a couple low incident or special education service centers. And that's such meaningful work. So we really enjoyed doing it. I hope that answered the question enough, not knowing what state you're in and everything. Yeah.
And I also think posing the question to administratives and leadership to make them understand that they deserve to have marketing around the services and that customer service experience. It isn't always about the quintessential money, the product value all the time. They deserve to have their stories told and to have that really great customer service experience. Because don't you want, no matter what type of enrollment marketing or feeder programs you have, don't you want the vision and the persona of your schools and your staff to be a really positive one? Even if they end up not going there, you want people to say positive things about you. And so the work is still highly valuable.
Really, I refer to it as much as reputation management as it is enrollment marketing. Our internal marketing talks about how our employees are going to talk about us in the community every day, and how our reputation in the community. Do we have a reputation that is trustworthy, that is child-centered? Do we have a reputation that taxpayers want to fund? And do we have a reputation where families want to live in your community? So it's really about what is the reputation you want to have? How do you want to be known? And is that where we are?
Mm-hmm. I think we have
Janet,
one
Chelsea.
question.
Yeah, we have one more question, and then we are going to be able to continue the conversation on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop that link. So if you do have a question that doesn't get answered now, you can ask it there, and we'll be there for the next 5 to 10 minutes. But this question is from John. And this sounds tricky, but are you finding it difficult to get staff, especially teachers, to buy into these face-to-face engagement events like open houses or ice cream socials?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And do you know why we're finding it hard? Because we ask so much of teachers. We ask a lot of teachers. So today, in order to get that engagement, it needs to be about something they're passionate about. B, it needs to not be a big ask. It could be, can you bring your child to the ice cream social in the park on Sunday and just be there and wear your staff shirt? We don't want you to work. We don't want you to have to set up. It needs to be something that fits within their lifestyle. And it doesn't need to be all teachers. The example I used with Dave was extreme, but it can be a few. So are we taking turns and not asking the same people all the time? If we're doing a kindergarten information night, can we put that at 4:30 or 5:30 instead of 7 o'clock when they've already gone home and they're putting their kids to bed? So we need to be careful that we are asking too much of staff. And we don't want this to be one more thing. We want this to be an opportunity again for them to invest in relationships with the families they're going to be working with. Yeah, great
And I
question.
often think about, Janet, it doesn't always have to be teachers. Sometimes the people that kids connect with the most could be janitorial staff, custodians. It could be people who are just working during the lunch hour to give teachers a break and going out to recess with kids. It could be the PTO helping to put something on and having more of like champion groups instead of just always laying it on the teachers to help with these after hours events.
Yeah, and
So
just be
there's-
really selective about what you're asking teachers to do.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Janet and Chelsea, for joining us. So like I said in the beginning, the webinar will be available on demand. The presentation deck will be available for you to download and share with your colleagues. And we are going to continue the conversation on LinkedIn. So if you have a question that wasn't answered, head over to that link in the chat and we will be chatting about it on the Rise Vision LinkedIn. Thank you all so much, and we will chat with you all later. Bye.
Thank you. See you there.